Welcome everybody. It's your favorite duo, your favorite spiritual group, your favorite book club, the Harrison's Book Club, and we are back with episode 2 of Super Genesis, where we're here to educate you about esoteric Bible and the information of it, and we start in Genesis. So, Big Dog, you already know what to do. Go ahead, and introduce yourself wherever you pushing. Go ahead, and do your thing.
What up? This is the other half of the Hero Friends Book Club. Breeze. You can follow me on Instagram, Jabriji, Breeze Ali on YouTube. And this episode 2, chapter 6 to 11. Excited.
Yes, and what we have packed today, this beautiful slideshow we have got here. Shout out to my boy for doing his thing. This club wouldn't be anything without him. So let's get it moving. So who are we? As we introduced this before, we like to always talk about tarot and how it connects us into the esoteric, and we use these cards to explain our moon signs. So, Reese, I'm gonna let you go ahead, spit yours.
Yeah. So um I'm a lunar Capricorn, which is the devil card. Um coming with truth. Coming with truth. Um and then AD, I'm gonna let him speak on his card, but like we got these two earth signs. We got the cardinal earth sign and the mutable earth sign. And the book club is that fixed sign, which is the hero fence, was that first card that you seen on the first live.
Yes, sir. And so, with my card, that is the Hermit, and if you see the symbol right there to the right, along with the Hebrew letter, we have Virgo, and that is my lunar symbol. So understanding your lunar sign will help you understand your subconscious mind, your emotions, and just your soul connection. I was going to say solar like it's a sun, but kind of what that points to. Anyway, understanding your lunar you. So I am the hermit. He is the devil. Don't get it twisted. So with this, right, the purpose of this club, right, is to encourage the collector to seek out higher consciousness, right? So if you understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, that you are a soul, your body is inhabited by consciousness, you are more than your body. You will go out your way to learn and study and understand yourself, understand, overstand all that, because it's so many things that keeps you from understanding you. So get into your astrology chart, get into tarot, understand the tarot cards if you ever got a reading, or if you want to give readings, or if you want to just study this and understand your body, this is the goal.
I second that. I second that. And also to build practices out of this information that's that you will find as you seek out higher consciousness. And I want to give a shout out to Al Kahad, the author of this book called Holography, a very, very important book. You know, it changed a lot for me. Um, and yeah, so this is the theory. So just gonna go over this real quick. Theory is that there's an undeniable correspondence between Tarot and Torah. The Torah being the first 5 books of the Bible, in Judaism, aka the Pentateuch, hence the 5 books. Penta is also called the first 5 books of Moses. And then Tarot is 78 cards used for divination. It's made up of the major arcana, 22, the minor arcana, 56, and it has 4 suits representing the elements, court cards, and in totality, it represents the Kabbalah. And to add to that, it represents not just the elements, but it represents the zodiac and the planetary energies too.
Understanding those planetary energies can really understand the things that go on within your life, right? Because within Gnosticism, they talk about how these planets, control our life, and not in a way of like right or wrong, good or bad, things happen to you, but it's understanding your conscious awareness that you must evolve through. So understanding where your Mercury is, right? The messenger of truth. Understanding
Mm-hmm.
your mind is impacted, how you communicate, or understanding your Saturn, understanding the disciplines and the work ethic you must create in your life where you is around and evolved. Because there's so many books within the Bible before the Bible was created. You got the Septuagint, the the Vatican Codex. There's so many books, man. So
You take it back, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
yeah, a lot of them.
Yep, yep.
So it's just no reason why you shouldn't be looking at all these and understanding
Mm-hmm.
the points that's connected.
Mm-hmm. And so the hypothesis, this is where a lot of the fuel for supergenesis came from. Is this quote by John Dee, or it's from a quote from Jason Loub's book about John Dee. Um, and I guess I'll read through it. Hermeticism thus assumes that nature is a language of similarities and connections, and that all aspects of the universe may be sorted based on their essences. It is the study of connections, resemblances, and analogies between aspects of nature. In this, it is much closer to how artists think than modern scientists, as it is concerned with the metaphorical resonances of images, objects within the natural world, and the way in which their contemplation affects the human soul. Okay, so this the second paragraph is the meat and potatoes. D, that is John Dee, instead thought of the real Kabbalah of nature, sought out the real Kabbalah of nature. That is, how to read nature itself as an open book, rather than relying on set intermediate symbol set of Hebrew, alchemy, and astrology. So basically, um, our goal is to be able to read our lives, you know, because everything that we've done in life led up to this moment, you know. And in that, you're able to take a lot of accountability for the life that you chose and the decisions that you've made, because everything that you see is speaking to you. And I think it's important to begin to speak the language of spirit, which is symbology and nature, furthermore, because spirit will be able to speak to you better. You know what I mean? Like not just dreams, you know what I mean? Like a trip to, the lake could be like, a very spiritual um experience, or even a trip to the grocery store. If you really understand like how spirit speaks, it could be something that come on the radio. You might see a license plate. You might read a certain street sign, things like that, and then you go back and find out like, damn, this street is a ley line. you know. But
It's,
yes, we have to
it's
read
understanding
symbology.
like we're in the matrix, so we live in a world full of code. So understanding this code will help you understand the things in your life that can set you apart from trickery and distraction, from attention and goal completion, right? Because if you understand that everything is a code, it's like, okay, like when you look at certain celebrities, seeing the jewelry they wear, or when you see certain institutions and you see the symbols, you know, like fast food, right? Fast food has coding in it to let you know that it's going to kill your body. Taco Bell, that is taco hell. You know, don't get me wrong, I love my chicken quesadillas from Taco Bell, but at the end of the day, I know that shit is killing me.
Mhm.
So you have to understand the things in our day and sight that lets us know that, like, okay, I can fuck with this institution because I see the code and the symbol and I did my research on them. You know, like it's so many things, books, the Bible, that's a coded book, and that's why we're going over it today. And it speaks into things of the symbology of you, because we get caught up into the story of Jesus and we never think about the story of our genosis, our genesis that starts within us, right? So in the first book of the Pentateuch, which tells among other things the creation of the world, Genesis comes from generation, genos, origin, creation, right? So why we're doing this is to help you understand the origin of you, right? Your coding, your knowledge comes from within. It's cool to read a book. It's cool to be in this live right now and learn this shit from us. But at the end of the day, you're gonna learn the most when you sit down and go within.
Shay. And yeah. One of the key words in Genesis is gene. So you got genetics, you got genome. And at the highest of the hierarchy in your existence, your genome is like the greatest symbol of your existence, your physical existence, you know. And I would even go further to suspect that we have some type of spiritual genome, you know, because the genome, it's it has a non-locality, which means it's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Um, so just consider genetics in your genes as we move further in the book of Genesis.
So coming from the first chapter, right, chapter 6. So where we at, we left the creation story. We left, Abel killing Cain. I'm sorry, Cain killing Abel, because Abel was, the chosen one in God's eyes, and and to understand that we're here, right? So at the point of man increasing on earth signifies the unfoldment process or the increasing of sin on earth. And the purpose of the divine beings taking the daughters of men as wives, this is Jehovah participating in creation. Think of this. The knowledge of God, spirituality, increased with the urges of sense consciousness, sin. So we talked about sense consciousness, and if you follow initiates, shout out to the initiates. Go drop into the group, join our Facebook group, join our email list, because we had a segment where we talked about sense consciousness. And sense consciousness is a divine consciousness, right? So to understand sense consciousness, you can either watch porn all day and go off your senses and join that,
Mm-hmm.
Get a quick feeling, or you understand that sense consciousness, and understand when you're horny, that's your soul trying to talk to you.
That's the urge to use your creative energy. I mean, your sexual energy is your creative energy, but you can either, use it to have sex and make a child, or not even to make a child, but you can also use it to create something. You can put that energy into some type of project or goal you got, something like Super Genesis, what we doing here. We put our divine energy in this to bring this to you all. Oh yeah, and
Exactly.
then like when you said sense consciousness, I was like, damn, sin consciousness. Or maybe I'm just thinking too deep.
Nah, because like we said, our body, we are more than a body. We are consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times 10, you getting relays of energy downloads. So most of the time when you're thinking all the time, you're really dealing with thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what instead of you saying like these are my thoughts, you can always go, I'm observant of the things that come into my awareness of my mind. Because when you're dealing with Kabbalah, you learn the universal law, and you understand all is mind and mind is all. And then when we said matrix, and when you do the etymology of matrix is a womb. Everybody came
Mm-hmm.
from a mother. Everybody was
Mm-hmm.
born from a womb. So understanding
Mm-hmm.
that womb means matrix, you have basically been brought into this world through a certain type of vessel, but basically energy was created. Your father had divine energy that he used, and your mother used that energy that the father has given and concealed it to create you. So right? And look, let's keep going, right? My breath shall not abide in man forever, since he too is flesh. Genesis 6:3, understanding the temporary condition of the physical, right? So within that chapter, when you see that, some people see this is fallen angels coming down and having sex with women, but the way I interpret it is us man, because sometimes we like to use divine things to not to be accountable. But us man has we do. Us man has helped us learn that really we had too much things going on, right? We think of giants, and I'm not trying to debunk giants, but it's understanding how sometimes we don't take accountability for our actions. So they talked about men of renown. Those men of renown can really be men of large figure, because back then you had people doing incest, family sleeping with family to keep in certain control of leadership of tribes. You know what I'm saying? You also have rape, pillage. Think about when Cain went on as a wanderer. It was other life forms out there that he could have came across, created with, and more. And so understanding that the reason why our spirit has left, because we saw so many people in the Bible go into 193, 210.
Yeah.
Like, how you 180 and you still giving semen to birth kids? So you have to understand that, like, the stroke game energy back then was crazy. So, so get your stroke game up, because them niggas back in the day was crazy with it. But don't let it cause you your destruction, because us being too much in the flesh, we had lost the ability to be able to live for a long time, as it seems that that's what the Bible is telling us.
It could possibly be a putting the flesh before, spirit, or putting dense spirit before, light spirit, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
And then also the giants, the Nephilim, it could have been it's just, I feel like calling them giants is kind of like, Beyonce is a musical R&B giant. You know what I mean? In that way, this is like an analogy that it was people of great influence, like you were saying, people of great influence that were here. But those people of great influence in those early days were the people who did know the name of God. Those people that were leaders.
Ashe. And now, all right, so the wickedness of man increased to a point where it saddened the heart of Jehovah. Out of all regret of having played a part in the creation of man, the Lord devised a plan. I will blot out the earth from the man who I created, men together with the beasts, creeping things, and birds of the sky, for I regret that I made them, right? So think about this, right? So before we go, the God of the Old Testament is a devil and an evil motherfucker.
Oh,
how about we think about? Go ahead, brother.
The Lord and Jehovah are the same person.
Yes.
Lord and Jehovah are the same person, but carry on.
So when we think about this, think about you being a creator, right? Because you are a creator of your life. So the life you have created, right? There's a polarity to things, right? When we think about universal law, there's a good and bad. Think of your astrology chart, your sun and moon. That's a polarity. Light and day, day and night. So you probably have created things in your life, and then you probably see the repercussions of it, and you're like, man, I don't even want to do this no more. I low-key want to wash this away, or I want to start over. So in a way, this is what this is telling you. You restarting, you want to be able to create. So sometimes when you create things in your life, before you create it, think about the actions of man. Think about the actions of you, the repercussions of it. And repercussion is the unattended things from your choices. And you got to think about the attended things from your choices, because that's what this is telling us. So, big bro, what you think?
No, I agree. Because over time, just referencing the Bible, over time, the population on the earth increased. So, that wickedness that was with Cain, and when Cain had that mark, it multiplied as time went on, because
Mhm.
after Cain shed someone's blood, Lamech shed someone's blood, and then it's just a going and going, to the point where the wickedness got so crazy that Jehovah was just like, you know what, we need to restart. Shit's got too wild. We got to restart. Um, and kind of like going back to like the giants of society back then, the people that knew God is represented in Noah. Um, because just to finish this slide, but Noah knew God and found favor with the Lord. Noah, 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 knower. So Noah is the knower. Noah knows himself, therefore he knows God.
Mhm.
And from that, God communicated to Noah that he would be ending all flesh on earth. And God promised to make a covenant with him. And God instructed Noah to build an ark, which takes us to our next slide.
Yes,
Slide.
so, and also remember, Noah names means rest or peace. Did it scoot up? Okay, it did.
Because, I mean, to add to that, a little bit, in order to know yourself, you need a certain level of relaxation. You need to sit and just focus on your breath. You got to let
Mm-hmm.
go of everything that's around you so that you could go within. Once you go within, you know yourself. You don't know yourself, or you get to know your personality in this world as you do things, go to work, meet people. But when you sit with yourself alone, that's when you gain understanding of self, and that's when you get to consider all of your cycles, that you go through, and the different things that are being that spirit and ancestors are trying to get to you, the message that they are trying to get to you. But the construction of the ark represents the process of building an altar and establishing a connection with soul and the energies that reside in oneself. Ancestors and the forces of nature are the energies that reside in oneself. It is important to know that the physical body is an altar/temple, foreshadowing the building of Solomon's temple. The importance the importance of this is self-deification. You want to be able to retire into yourself when conditions of reality become turbulent, i.e., the flood, which is coming up, and the ark being a place of refuge. So, with that being said, it's important for us to do altar work. Make an altar for your soul. You know, put things on that altar that represent those elements. Elements, like a crystal for earth, a base of water. What else we got? We got incense, and we got a candle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at this altar, you build this altar and go to this altar every day, even if it's 5 minutes every day, and light that candle with a specific intention to build a everlasting connection, build or create a covenant with your non-physical existence, with your soul, and just continuously come back to it, light that candle with the intention of building and establishing a connection with your non-physical existence. And from there, that's where you get a lot of messages. That's where you figure out what your purpose of existence is. Um, and but it's to understand that you build this altar as a symbolization of your physical body, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, because once you understand your altar and you get these messages from it, you put all of that attention on yourself, because you are the altar. You are the spirit that resides within this body, or the ark. So Noah building this ark is Noah understanding how to meditate and build an altar, and for lack of better words, just begin his spiritual discipline and his spiritual practices. You know.
Yeah, and also when we talked about Noah rest, right? We get into understanding the endocrine system, because being a spiritual being, you have to understand the body. And we're going to do things where we talk about that. We're going to share books with you, but understanding your endocrine system, right? Your parasympathetic and your sympathetic system. So Noah is also a form of showing you the parasympathetic system for you to use to get into your art work, to get into your spell and your magic. You have to come in from a place to rest, because sometimes we bring so much logic, so much brain, so much Mercury energy into shit. Whereas Mercury does involve rituals, but it's understanding the magician part of it.
Yeah.
So for you to activate this altar energy, for you to get into it, you have to put this into a place of resting for you. Like, all right, when you wake up in the morning for work, right? Like if you're a person with kids, or you a person that do a lot of stuff in the morning, sit with your altar, rest real quick, meditate, drink some tea. I recommend some roses. Bree said he been fucking with the peppermint. You know what I'm saying? So get you some tea, get you some herbs. Make you a cup for your granny. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Uh, you probably like, man, these niggas go with this shit, but we telling you this for a reason. You know, these day-to-day celebrities are telling you this. So it brings us to our next slide, right? Because understanding this altar building, understanding all this creation, Noah was instructed to take his sons and wives into the ark. And every clean to unclean animal, male and female, a ratio of 7 to 2. This part has a meaning that look as being the multitude of energies that resides in one altar, one's body, right? So think about your body. Think about the type of energy that comes into you, because when you get into your astro chart, then you understand, like, okay, you know these are things that can happen with my body, with a moon being in the sixth house. These things
Hmm.
happen with a Mars being in this house, because I can fight shit. So
Hmm.
big bro, you already know what to do.
Yeah, yeah. And so, um, my thought process behind this was like, okay, because it talked about, of every clean to unclean animal, male and female, ratio 7 to 2. So that means you got 7 sets of clean animals, or what would be considered clean animals, to 2 sets of unclean animals. And it just made me think, like, is it some type of balance that Noah had within him that was more divinely aligned and malignant? And then I just looked up the number 72. Number 72 is believed to be represented of divine abundance, spiritual completion, perfect harmony. It's associated with the gifts of the Holy Spirit and spiritual blessings that come from following God's will. And I can attest to 72 or 27. There's numbers, so 72 and 27 the same. You add them up, they both equal 9. Um, and 72 also represents 360 plus 360, or 36 plus 36, um, which gives you the whole sphere and the whole cipher totality of the physical and the spiritual. You put those two together, just like when you have a Merkaba, or what people would think of as the Star of David. Um, and also, as far as like the multitudes of energy that reside within us, you have the energy for your needs. There's an energy that resides in your liver, your heart, and the understanding is the functions um, of these parts of the body. And then you take a step back from that, and you get to the the abstract meanings of these functions. What is the meaning of having a liver that has over, I want to say, like over 500 different, um, uh, the liver has over like 500 different things that it does for your body. That's insane. Another thing with the liver, it represents Geb, the Egyptian deity of the earth. The liver is also known for regeneration, so like getting to a deeper meaning of like,
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
does it mean to be able to regenerate, and why do I have an energy that resides within me that can regenerate? And you can do this for your fingers, your eyes, your pineal gland, your thighs, your bone marrow. There's different energies that reside in these, just like you have different cells for each one of these parts of your body. A liver cell is not the same as a bone cell, nor is it the same as your heart cell. Um, so next part. During the second month, all the fountains of the great deep burst apart, and the floodgates of the sky broke open. The second month here is considered April, from the Latin word aperio, aperio, which means to open. And the rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights. The Hebrew letter mem is 40 and is related to the tarot card, the hangman, directing our attention to Neptune. This energy is our spiritual practices, building an altar and withdrawing into it continuously. Mem is also the hangman.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here the flood concludes, and the Lord makes a promise with self to never again doom earth because of man, since the devisings of man mind are evil from his youth.
Now think it is right. The
Mm-hmm.
promise that he has made with us, the covenant. What was a symbol to show that the promise will be made? A rainbow. What does the rainbow symbolize? The seven chakras. The seven chakras. So, starting with the root red, starting with the sacral orange,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right, orange, right? With the sacral, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah, yeah,
yep.
yeah. Okay. So I'm not even gonna go into other ones because y'all need to get into the root and the sacral first before you even get, because like we'll get online and we'll hear someone talking about the third eye chakra, and we be like, oh shit, my third eye, my pituitary, my pineal gland. And it's like, damn, bro, you haven't even messed with your root glands. You haven't even doing no
Mm-hmm.
root locking for a month. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with the first three chakras that deals with survival and leaving this attachment to the world so you can move on, and it gets into the rest. So
Mm-hmm. Forgiving
that
the animal
rainbow
harming himself.
is a big symbol, right? A great big symbol of you, because once you understand and once we get deeper into the book, this book is about you. Yes, it contains ancient history. Yes, it contains secret spiritual knowledge, but we not trying to overload you all that right now, because y'all gonna hear that, y'all will run somewhere with it, and we don't want to do that with you. We want to give this the most simplest, cleanest way to understand the things that you learned in church, because they want you to learn, understand a certain thing, because remember, church is a vortex for those who do not handle their own energy. So if you go to church, I ain't judge you. Don't get me wrong. Shit, I might go in there so I can eat some food, communion, talk some shit with the pastor. You know what I'm saying? But working with your energy is key, right? So let's dive into this one, right? At this point, God's blessed Noah and his sons, man, humanity, Atom. We went over that. Has got a restart and is reestablished as the midpoint between earth and the heavens. Man's dominion over all is reaffirmed by God too. The Marcus Cain is given a mention in verse Genesis 9:6. Whoever sheds the blood of a man, by man shall his blood be shed, for in his image did God make man. All right. So when you get into the deep study of just Hebrewism, Hebrew knowledge, understanding Cain and what he resembles is a key notice to the beginning of Genesis and furthermore, because as we leave from Noah and these guys and we move on to higher things, understanding Cain and Abel is understanding like the mass, not the masculine, I'm sorry, but understanding the flesh and the spirit within you, right?
Yep, and how those two things, how they merge and how they differ from each other.
Exactly, right? So the generations of Noah are a part of the covenant with God. All that have come out the ark are as well. God to Noah, never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood, and never again shall be there a flood to destroy the earth. The rainbow is a sign of this covenant. And remember, I hope you guys got the notebooks out, because you know I do. And the rainbow, remember, represents the chakras. So, and if you want to learn chakras, I highly suggest you get Big Dog book, The Hood Mystic, Kyrie Anthony, Chakra Nova. And he's doing classes today around 11 on the sacred chakra. And he already has a root chakra class out. So if you dive in those two, you'll learn so much about the chakras in a simple format, the way we're talking about the Bible. Because at the end of the day, this is a story about you. The world revolves around you, or do you revolve around the world? That's something that you need to understand for you.
The three sons of Noah are Shem, Japheth, Ham, and from them the world branched out. Ham being the father of Canaan, Noah was a tiller of the soil, and he was the first to plant. And he was the first to plant a vineyard. He became drunk and removed his clothing in his tent. Ham saw Noah's nakedness and told his two brothers, Shem and Japheth. They then, without looking, covered their father's nakedness. When Noah awakened and said, Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves shall he be to his brothers. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Let Canaan be a slave to him. May God enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in tents of Shem, and let Canaan be a slave to them. So this whole fiasco was basically the knower of God um, doing his spiritual work. And it's not that he was butt naked for real. You know, the nakedness was a reference to Adam and Eve knowing that they were naked once their sense consciousness got to a certain level, and they began to move outside of their bodies. So for Noah to be naked is for Noah to be within. It's for Noah to, experience his inner world. And Ham walked in on him, and he shared this information with his brothers. And his brothers knew better. And then once again, this is something that I thought of too. Once when we were talking about the multitudes of energy in the ark from 7 to 2, it's like that was like what, like 29% to 71% is like here, which is almost a third, a little bit more than a third, or 2/3. But it's like you got three brothers, just like Adam and Eve had three sons, and then you got one that just did something that was against the grain. You get what I mean? Which was Ham in this case. I think that's interesting, and I think that they correlate in some kind of way. Yeah, we'll talk more about this in the next slides.
Yes, sir. Now you have the story Genesis having a new beginning. Noah, a tiller soil. Cain was also a tiller soil. And we also have the mentions of nakedness as it relates to Noah being drunk. Symbolically, in this scene, you have the vineyard and wine representing the alchemy, the mutative work of working with the occult or the unseen. The nakedness of nowhere is an indicator of shedding, removing of sense consciousness, and retiring into self. Remember the nakedness of Adam and Eve. Ham's son Canaan, raising Canaan. I know y'all watching that. Stop watching that. It's cursed like Cain was, but Noah, for his violation, interprets Noah's meditation. Now we have the cursed or the wrongdoer transgressor as a slave instead of an exile.
Right, because Cain was in exile, and then so it's interesting to think about that. You know what I mean? Someone being turned into a slave as opposed to just being kicked out. How does that play? You get what I'm saying? Like, I think that's very interesting. Why didn't Ham just say, you know what, get the hell out of here. He's like, no, you instantly are on a lower level in society. You know, I think an exile is better off than a slave, but that's just me.
You know, and then like as I had the book open, you know, Canaan will be cursed. He will be the lowest of slaves to his brothers. He also
So
said, "Praise the
it
Lord."
skipped Ham and went to his generations.
Yes.
That's
So
crazy.
when you think about this, right, then it gets you into like the thoughts of the Canaanites and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how they, you know, fought for land and all this other stuff. But I'm just saying that so as we progress through these chapters, you think about certain things and you think about these clans and these fatherhoods, because then you're like, damn, maybe they point at something. Because like we said, the deep knowledge of the Bible that we want to get into, first we want to have you understand the esoteric and the symbolic things first. Then we'll get into the history where we'll talk about the small stuff and like we'll point to this, we'll point to that. Because it's so easy to go into the history of the Bible and be like, this really happened in my ancestors. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's better to actually look at the Bible metaphorically in a senses of you, because they talk about so many things. And also I just want to just say a quick little verse real quick. So I'm gonna look it up real quick, Breeze, while you do your thing. I gotta find it. And it's from Jeremiah.
All right. Go to the next slide for me.
Got you.
Okay. So in Genesis 10, this chapter goes over the generations stemming from each one of Noah's sons. So Japheth had 7 sons, which were the maritime nations. By maritime, we mean the nations that were on the water. Maritime nations branched out of Japheth's tree. A notable son is Magog. Go look up Magog. Ham had 4 sons, including Canaan, and another notable son, Cush. And Cush begat Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter by the grace of the Lord. A notable mainstay of his kingdom was Babylon.
Mm.
So from Ham, you have Cush, then you get Nimrod, who was a hunter and who was the king of Babylon at some point. It is also noted that the kingdom of the Canaanites included Sodom and Gomorrah. So we get Sodom and Gomorrah out of Cain. So it just shows how much, because Noah said he was cursed, Ham, after what you did, and you see all these different generations. So out of Ham, who was cursed, you get Nimrod, you get Babylon, you get Sodom and Gomorrah, and Babylon is all the way at the end in Revelations. But I digress. And just showing like how this stuff just strings along, you know. And Shem had 5 sons, and then just like we were saying, I call it a phonetic epithet, the 3 sons of Noah. So you have Shem, which is Shin, related to the element of fire, and Uranus on the left. And then you have Hay, which is related to Aries, and Mars and fire, which is related to Ham. Hay, Ham. And then we have Japhet that are related to Dalet, which aligns with Venus and the Empress. So you have Shem, Shin, Ham, Hay, Japhet, Dalet. And it's just interesting to consider it as this because Shem was the oldest and Shem was represented by like spirit. That's why he's related to fire. Why I'm relating him to fire here. Then Ham lineages is all about rulership because Nimrod, you know, the emperor, Babylon, power, you know, building this this tower, which we will get to, and then we have the empress, kind of representing like intellectualism, you know, and being able to use the mind on a high level, high frequency, in order to get these spiritual downloads. Um, just something to consider. Something to consider.
And also, now I know we kind of been like in a little past the chapter a little bit, right? We're in chapter 10. But I want you to think about this. It's other stories that connect to biblical, esoteric, spiritual readings. So the deluge, right? It's so many other stories with the deluge. You have the Greek story of the deluge. You know, you have Gilgamesh story of the deluge. So now we're here in Noah's story, and we're here with his sons and his family. Now, understanding how the Canaanites took a big role into the deepness of the Genesis story and the biblical story throughout, the Canaanites hold so much weight and power over just simply the things they was doing, how they try to stop them and tell them they can't do that, the worshiping. So I want us to like really understand like the land, the generations of Noah just traveling from the east and made it to the valley in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. They all spoke one language, and they started to build a tower to make the names for themselves in the case of them being scattered over the world. When the Lord saw this, he confused the language of man and scattered them all over the earth. So when we think of this, and this gets into the part of thinking about the historical things and like the small things, why would the Lord want to scatter these people? Why would we all are one, right? So if we was all one, we could all praise one God. So you have to understand the esoteric information that's being put in front of you. You had a group of family, tribes, all one language, ready to praise one God. And symbolically out of nowhere, he's like, fuck that. Right? Like, we have to understand that. So let's continue. Symbolically, this shows what happens to a man when he becomes overly self-serving or self-glorifying. He builds himself up with a disregard for God or anything spiritual just to make a name for himself. Ego. You are more than ego. You have something under that ego. Under that ego. Sound like I said under that Negro. My fault, yeah. My fault. Don't cancel me, YouTube. That's the building of the tower in the metropolis represents this and the spirit of enterprise. The incompleteness is mentioned in the name of the tower being called Babel. Babel, 1, confused noise made under a number of voices. 2, a scene of noisy confusion. From here we get the generations of Shem, and it goes to Terah, who beget Abram, Noah, Haran. Haran beget Lot, and Haran died during the life of father Terah. Terah took Abram, his wife Sarah, and Lot, and they set out together from Ur of the Chaldeans for the land of Canaan. They made it as far as Haran and settled there.
So I want to just add something in the second paragraph where we talk about how the Lord confounded their language. And I take it as just from studying that they confused who the true Lord was. And, through self-glorifying, they may have put all their trust and energy in a man. And from this, the Lord seeing that, he's seen it was basically idolatry at this point. They're all following Nimrod. They're all following a man. And this tower symbolizing how much you can build your consciousness up based around ego, how you can build your conscious up just around self-glorification and individuality, whereas spirit is based on charity. On a certain level, yes, it is built on individuality, but only to go within and deal with spirit so that you can know how to move in this world, so you can know your purpose, you can know how you're here to serve. So yeah, that's something that I thought about, because it could have been like people just like they was calling the man Lord, and from there God was like, nah, they got the gang fucked up. So hopefully somebody will get it right, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where we got to, once again, Shem being Uranus, the element of fire. This is revolution. This is the dawn of a new age. That tarot card is Eon. It's a new Eon. Um, Shem just representing fire. Fire is spirit. Fire is intuition. Um, and Abraham, who right now his name is Abram, comes from spirit. Abram is a generation of spirit, a generation of intuition.
And also understanding, like, it's been multiple times people in the Bible have like evolved, right? So in Genesis, I'm not gonna spoil it. Some of you high level studiers are probably know what I'm talking about, and some people who have like read the story understand. But and I'm pretty sure you see it in today's day with these spiritual niggas, man. Like, they forget they have a name. Somehow they're Susalat Totep, and they doing all these things and lying to y'all about shit.
Ankh
But
Alakazam.
facts. So you got to think about the evolvement, because as we talked about ego, you have to understand the personas, because what we're talking about this is on a deep psychological level of understanding you. And I know I probably said that so many times. You probably heard you in this damn PowerPoint so many times out of my mouth. But that is the goal of all of this. No matter how much spiritual information we overload your brain with, no matter how much we told you, how Abram did his wife, is understanding that all this is a big metaphor within knowledge that can be understood today. Because if you understand the past, you're going to understand what's going to happen in the future. So, and in the Bible, as you saw with Noah and Cain and the family, you see curses. You see a constant circle of fluctuations of repeated actions, but each action that's repeated, certain choices are made to cause a new repercussion to allow things to happen. So with the Tower of Babel, I just feel like that it speaks about so much things that get into Baal worship, or it gets into understanding when the people were one, or it breaks into even just understanding why these people was cursed. Because the Canaanites hold some weight more than you think. And
It's
I
gonna
feel
be
like,
more about them.
yeah, and for Ham to be targeted like that, for his sons and his family to be targeted like that, is a deep meaning. And I just don't want to spoil it, because then when you get into it, it's like, damn.
Because it comes down to also like the generational traumas, and
Yes.
the generational things that have to be dealt with, and how it really could be passed down from an ancestor that you don't even know their name and face. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's the importance of going within, finding those malignant urges and things that are in you, and choosing to be divinely aligned, so you don't keep it going, you know. It's all
Yeah.
about the genetics, Genesis genetics.
Yeah, and you have to understand too, like, Canaan's clans were scattered. Like, you have to understand, like Canaan clans low key was going to take over when you think about it. So, and just like, even from Shem to Abram, you just have so much from someone living to 100 years. Then 2 years after the Luge, you have another someone living for 500. And so, what I want to tell you, and we're gonna make a video on it, these genealogies speak code. They speak a code, and you probably like, damn, like, you telling me these numbers saying something? The numerology, right? Numerology is a thing. Like, think of 2024. We're in a new age right now, and not like a new age of like the age of Aquarius. We are in an age of truth, yes, but understanding like the energy that you're supposed to work with. So And I really feel like understanding the genealogies, understanding Abram, because chapter 12 we get into the call of Abram, and then him going to Abraham or Ibrahim, you know, understanding that part of his name, that breath part, is going to speak into a lot of things. And then we're going to get into the Yahweh, Jehovah, you know, because that's how they really pronounce, because people understand the pronunciations of things and how they
Mm-hmm.
use it in the mind to build meditation practices and more.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all of it. You know, we don't want to like go on a giant rant and explode y'all up. So we trying to keep these things very informational, very fun. Don't want to bore you so
Concise,
much to
yeah.
death with the jargon. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you got two handsome men on here talking about spiritual knowledge. You don't get that a lot, you know, and don't take it as since we up here we think we're better than nobody. Nah, we up here because we know we ain't shit. You know, well, I ain't shit. Breeze pretty cool guy, but
But we want to learn, man. We want to learn. We want to share
yeah,
the information because it's not like this is the end. You know, who knows? We might do this all over again. It's for the sake of learning. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And when you can share something with somebody, that deepens your understanding. You know, um, and it's fun, man. We enjoy this. We enjoyed it.
yeah. It's a fun practice, but that's pretty much it, y'all. I appreciate y'all for joining. Go check out the initiates. Join our email list. Go check out the Facebook group. Check it out on TikTok. You know, check out my boy Breeze YouTube. You can go also look at subscribe to our email list and our Instagram on the Harrison's Book Club. You know, requests for a reading. We would love to look at your astral chart. We would love to look at, you know, give you a reading with the tarot cards if you're on astral reading. But I suggest you get both from us, because understanding your chart and then getting a reading around your chart, which just puts you in a type of vibe that you need to do. Because it's cool, we can tell you all the information you want and blow smoke up your ass, but it's important for you to understand that for yourself, because in everybody family there's the Hayoka, there's the shaman, there's the magician, and
Mm-hmm.
you watching this right now shows that you are that in the family, you know, or everybody in the family is doing it with you. You like, yo, like I got these niggas doing spells with me, and you know we've been vibing. So just think of that. But we go ahead, bounce out of here, man. Breeze, you got anything you want to say or anything you want to tell the people before you go, bro?
Um, nah, man, you said everything here at Friends Book Club. Follow us both on Instagram. And episode 3 be on the way.
Yes, sir. Peace to the family and the tribe. Thank you for joining. Peace.